I collected data from 38 independent mechanics and shop owners spread across Texas, Michigan, California, Ohio, and Florida. 3 weeks of conversations, one simple question for each. What Ford do you personally drive and why? The patterns that emerged genuinely surprised me. These professionals witness automotive failures every single working day. They process repair estimates that make customers go pale. They understand exactly which components surrender at 100,000 miles and which soldier on to 300,000. Yet when spending their own money, they keep gravitating toward the same handful of Ford products. Here is something worth understanding. Vehicle recommendations flooding the internet mostly come from automotive journalists who experience press loaners for a week. They enjoy that new car aroma and explore infotainment features. What they never encounter is that same vehicle at 150,000 miles when reality arrives. They never hand customers a $4,500 estimate for major component failure. Mechanics process that reality every shift they work. These 7 Ford vehicles kept appearing throughout my conversations, not because they generate Instagram engagement, because they represent the polar opposite of what keeps rolling into service bays with budget-destroying surprise failures. According to technicians who stake their reputations on understanding what breaks, these specific Fords deliver ownership experiences that minimize financial disasters. If you've been searching for vehicle analysis rooted in workshop reality rather than press release optimism, hit subscribe and the notification bell. This community keeps expanding because we bypass marketing narratives and expose what genuinely performs. Starting at number 7, we have a truck most mechanics initially dismissed as undersized for legitimate work until they started buying them. The Ford Maverick with the 2-liter turbocharged EcoBoost, starting around $29,000, occupies unique market territory. Built on unibody architecture shared with the Escape and Bronco Sport, it might concern traditional truck buyers. But mechanics recognize something valuable, a vehicle engineered for straightforward maintenance using proven components. A Houston shop owner walked me through his documentation. He acquired a 2023 Mavericks with the 2-liter turbo for parts runs. 18 months and 24,000 miles later, total expenditure beyond oil services reached $127. His exact words, customers spend more than that on individual sensor replacements. The 2-liter EcoBoost represents technology Ford refined since 2015. This engine serves the Escape and Bronco Sport. Parts saturate the supply chain. Independent technicians understand this power plant intimately. The 8-speed automatic operates on conventional principles, without quirks plaguing continuously variable transmissions or dual clutch systems. Real-world consumption lands around 26 to 28 miles per gallon combined. The cabin emphasizes function. The bed will not accommodate full plywood sheets. But mechanics are not pursuing excitement. They are pursuing machines that will not strand them roadside. At number 6, Ford's breakout compact SUV claims a spot, the Bronco Sport with the 2-liter EcoBoost. Specifically, Badlands and Outer Banks configurations include this larger power plant as standard. The base Bronco Sport runs a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder, and mechanics express mixed feelings about that choice. Documented fuel injector problems triggered recalls, and 3-cylinder engines work inherently harder than 4 cylinders while producing equivalent power. The 2-liter version generates an entirely different conversation. J.D. Power assigned the 2025 Bronco Sport a predicted dependability score of 88 out of 100, exceeding segment averages meaningfully. That represents aggregated owner data, not marketing copy. A Colorado off-road shop owner uses a 2022 Bronco Sport Badlands every day. He services Jeeps, Land Rovers, and full-size Broncos throughout each work week. His assessment is simple. The Bronco Sport provides 90% of what typical buyers need from adventure-capable vehicles while carrying 30% of the mechanical complexity. The 2-liter EcoBoost has proven trouble-free. At roughly $35,000 for Badlands specification, compare that against the full-size Bronco's higher price and substantially greater complexity involving removable components. The Bronco Sport represents a calculated bet for reliability-focused buyers. Position 5 belongs to Ford's workhorse family hauler, the Explorer with the 2.3-liter EcoBoost, not the 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 in ST and Platinum grades. The base 4-cylinder, which journalists often call merely adequate, is the power plant that mechanics purchase. An Ohio shop owner explained his logic. Customers bring 3.0-liter twin-turbo models regularly, and the thrust is impressive. But dual turbochargers mean higher operating temperatures and more opportunities for failure as mileage accumulates. The 2.3-liter accomplishes everything families require while maintaining simple architecture. The 2.3-liter generates 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet, sufficient for 3-row SUVs used for school runs and weekend sports. Fuel economy reaches approximately 21 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway. Starting with 2020 production, Ford migrated the Explorer to a rear-wheel drive architecture, fundamentally improving the mechanical foundation. Previous generations accumulated documented power transfer unit issues. The current platform embodies cleaner engineering. A Michigan Ford specialist advises, for families planning decade-long ownership, 2023 or newer Explorer with the 2.3-liter represents the sweet spot. Ford resolved 2020 launch refinement issues. Starting around $40,000 for the active trim, the Explorer undercuts competitors while delivering legitimate 3-row space. Avoid 2020 production when possible. Units from 2023 forward benefit from accumulated improvements. Number 4 brings Ford's mid-size truck into focus, the Ranger with the 2.3-liter EcoBoost. The current Ranger returned to American showrooms in 2019, and mechanics have monitored it closely. 6 years later, the verdict trends surprisingly positive. The 2.3-liter engine produces 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, competitive for mid-size trucks. This represents essentially identical hardware to the Mustang EcoBoost, which means Ford invested enormous development resources to ensure reliability. A Texas truck specialist said the Ranger's 2.3-liter is probably the most mature iteration Ford has manufactured. Head gasket concerns that affected early Focus RS models have been resolved. Timing chain engineering improved, and the power plant has reached full maturity. In 2024, Ford updated the Ranger with the 10R60 transmission, replacing the 10R80. Early feedback suggests the newer transmission eliminates clunky shifting behaviors found on previous examples. Starting around $34,000, the Ranger competes against the Tacoma and the Colorado. While Toyota commands perceived reliability premiums, the Ranger offers comparable durability at a lower acquisition cost. One caution: some owners report a fuel odor in the oil during cold climate operation. This characteristic appears in direct injection turbocharged engines generally, and it causes no harm with proper oil change intervals. Mechanics recommend 5,000-mile oil changes rather than manufacturer-suggested 10,000-mile intervals. At number 3, we reach the configuration-dominating mechanic parking lots, the F-150 with the 5-liter Coyote V8. It is simple and reliable, not EcoBoost, not PowerBoost hybrid. This is the traditional V8 that traces its heritage through more than a decade of refinement. The Coyote debuted in 2011 and progressed through multiple improvement generations. Current applications produce 400 horsepower and 410 pound-feet, power that is sufficient for most owners without the complexity of forced induction. Mechanics gravitate here because of simplicity compared to alternatives. EcoBoost engines deliver impressive performance. The 3.5-liter twin-turbo generates more power and often achieves better economy. But that involves twin turbochargers, intercoolers, high-pressure fuel pumps, and complexity that eventually requires attention. The 5-liter Coyote avoids all of that. Current versions combine port and direct injection, eliminating carbon accumulation. No turbochargers to fail. Cooling systems work less aggressively. The engine does not experience the thermal stress that accompanies forced induction. A Michigan mechanic with 25 years of experience shared that the 5-liter Coyote represents the closest approximation to old-school V8 reliability Ford has manufactured in decades. Multiple examples reached 300,000 miles on original engines and transmissions. Preferred production years span from 2015 to 2017, pairing the second-generation Coyote with the 6R80 transmission, a combination demonstrating remarkable durability. Units from 2018 forward employ 10-speed automatics that require more software calibration. One concern is that Coyotes from 2018 to 2020 accumulated reports of oil consumption. Ford addressed this with updated piston rings in later production. Target 2021 or newer when purchasing used. Starting around $45,000 for XLT with the 5-liter, the investment is substantial. But decade-long ownership calculations, including fuel, repairs, and depreciation, show Coyote-powered F-150s consistently outperform complex alternatives. Number 2 surprises people until they grasp the logic: the Mustang GT with a 5.0-liter Coyote V8 and a manual transmission. A sports car on a reliability list makes sense when you understand Ford built this using their most proven powertrain. The Mustang GT employs essentially identical Coyote architecture from the F-150, tuned for higher RPM performance. Current models produce 480 horsepower from naturally aspirated engineering. A Georgia performance shop owner who services Mustangs, Camaros, and Challengers explained that turbocharged 4-cylinder Mustangs show carbon buildup. Supercharged Shelbys arrive with high-stress failures. The GT with a naturally aspirated V8 mostly returns only for oil changes. J.D. Power's 2024 Vehicle Dependability Study identified the Mustang as Ford's most reliable vehicle. That is notable because it is a sports car. The manual transmission specification matters critically. Automatic Mustangs use 10-speed transmissions, which perform reliably but add complexity. Manual gearboxes represent mechanical simplicity. Clutch replacements run $800 to $1,200. Equivalent procedures on European dual-clutch automatics exceed $4,000. Starting around $44,000 for a GT with a manual, the Mustang competes against European sports cars that demand twice the price. A Nashville mechanic with 87,000 miles on his 2019 GT described ownership as oil changes, brake pads, and one set of tires, with a complete maintenance history. The 460 horsepower car costs less to maintain than his wife's crossover. Claiming number 1 and generating some debate is the F-150 with the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6, accompanied by a critical condition that separates successful ownership from expensive regret. This is the truck mechanics purchase most frequently, but specific requirements distinguish owners who thrive from those who struggle. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost produces 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet in current applications, with torque exceeding the 5-liter despite smaller displacement. For towing and hauling, that advantage matters substantially. A Texas fleet manager responsible for 47 F-150s explained that standardizing on the 3.5-liter EcoBoost and tracking every maintenance dollar reveals that following Ford's severe duty schedule makes 3.5-liter trucks cost slightly less per mile than 5-liter trucks while accomplishing more work. Here is knowledge mechanics possess that owners lack. Standard maintenance schedules assume ideal conditions. Most actual driving like towing, hauling, and short trips qualifies as severe duty. For the 3.5-liter EcoBoost, mechanics recommend 5,000-mile oil changes, spark plugs at 60,000 miles, coolant flushes every 50,000 miles, and transmission service from 30,000 to 50,000 miles. Maintain that discipline, and the 3.5-liter EcoBoost demonstrates remarkable durability. Ignore that discipline and potential turbo failures and timing chain problems await. Preferred years start at 2017, when the second-generation 3.5-liter addressed carbon accumulation through combined injection and received strengthened internals. A Colorado Ford specialist observed that 3.5-liter trucks have reached 250,000 miles running like new, while others suffered catastrophic failures at 80,000 miles. The difference traces almost entirely to maintenance history. There is your complete list: 7 Ford vehicles. Among hundreds of configurations, only 7 consistently pass the test of professionals who understand what fails and why. Notice the patterns? Naturally aspirated engines or proven turbocharged designs with years of refinement, conventional automatics, or manual options. Components deployed across multiple platforms ensure parts availability. What is absent? First model year production, the most complex technology options. Features that generate showroom excitement but cause workshop headaches. The automotive industry spends billions convincing buyers. Complexity represents progress. Mechanics understand complexity represents profit for service departments, not value for owners. 38 professionals repair broken vehicles every day. Their collective choices reveal what marketing budgets work to obscure. Share this with anyone considering a Ford purchase. Subscribe to help this reach more buyers before expensive mistakes happen. I will see you in the next one.